Alright, it's going to be an update on the tanks and some information as far as adding one fish at a time to a cichlid tank. You may notice the water in there is slightly pigmented, yellowish. This tank recently had some bacteria trouble. Very evil flesh-eating bacteria, and right now we're treating it with a couple different things. Copper, aquarium salt, and Furan 2 bacterial disease treatment. Can't really tell you much about it because it could have been a number of different things, and none of which I can pronounce. I can tell you it is extremely evil, and usually by the time you find out the fish has got it, it's too late. Very fast moving, thinking like within 72 hours of the fish showing signs, it's already too late. It just chews the fish's skin up badly. The water is actually a lot clearer than it used to be, and that's partly because I've been considering adding on a canister filter. I was a little bit skeptical of it because the ones that push the most water, usually 50, 70 gallons or so, those ones are pretty pricey, and I really didn't want to spend the money on something that I may or may not like. So basically I found one on Craigslist, older model, Fluval 404, and picked it up for about 30 bucks. It doesn't include the media that I had to pick up for it, but for the most part, I mean, I'm pretty impressed so far. Keeps the water pretty clean. Right now I'm actually filtering with that canister and my 75-gallon hang on the back. I'm probably filtering around about 175 gallons, all on a little 55. So I don't think there's a such thing as having too much filtration on a cichlid tank. These guys just produce a lot of waste, and I've got a couple dozen of them in there anyway, so in my opinion, it kind of needs it. There's the filter. Well, you can't really see it. You could always Google it up. Fluval 404, older model, a couple years at least. But so far, I'm gonna give that type of filter a good rating. Everyone is doing pretty good for the most part. They've all settled in. There's not too much aggression. There's usually some aggression when I add multiple fish. I've read and seen on other videos that it's pretty hard to add one fish at a time to a cichlid tank because of the aggression, and they tend to pick on the new guy. So what I did was I have these two large accessories, and I basically just swapped them out to confuse them. I'm sure most of you have probably heard about this tank. Actually, I think I could have got away without doing that. I'm sure you know it's kind of hard to add more than one fish at a time sometimes. I mean, if you only find one fish that you like, it doesn't really make sense to add another one just to split the aggression up, so to speak. So what I recommend doing, and what has worked for me, is just find something that the fish really enjoy. I got this freeze-dried brine shrimp, and these guys go nuts for this. I mean, it's like they're like crackheads when I throw this stuff in there. And what I did was I added the new fish, and of course he got some attention at first, and until I threw the brine shrimp in there, and then they just totally forgot all about him. So I think I've successfully found a way to add one fish at a time to a established cichlid aquarium. Gonna head upstairs and take a look at the other tank. Okay, so this is a small 30-gallon. Originally, I was gonna set this up as a Frontosa colony. I started it, but after a couple weeks of it, I just got kind of bored with it. The tank was boring. From what I've read, Frontosas are notoriously slow growing. I just haven't been able to see any growth in them at all for what's probably been a few months now. Only a few weeks since they've been in the tank, but I think I've owned them for a couple months. So I've started to make subtle changes and add-ons. What I wanted to do, I don't know if I mentioned it in one of the earlier videos, was to add some blue dolphins into the mix. So right now I've got a couple blue dolphins in there. They're probably about 1.5 inches. There's 2 of them in there, and there's 4 Frontosas. The one Frontosa, he's probably close to 1.5 inches, but the other guys, I don't know, they're barely pushing 1 inch. Threw a sponge filter in there. These guys are doing okay for the most part. Seem to be getting along for the most part. Little aggression, but what can you do? It's in their nature. And, well, that's it.